So previously we were looking at the tabernacle proper. Now we're going to be looking at more of the courtyard and the setup around the tabernacle. Exodus 27:1, and make the altar of acacia wood, 5 cubits square and 3 cubits high, 7.5 feet by 4.5 feet, 225 centimeters by 135 centimeters. So here we see the creation of an altar of acacia wood, the same wood that we saw used previously. I think that might be the best wood in the area to use, as we've seen it used multiple times now. A very sturdy, robust wood. This altar here, this is a good size. It's not outrageously big. I mean, it's definitely bigger than any barbecue I've ever seen or used, but it's not outrageously big because they're going to still need to move this thing around at some point. But it's not small either. It's not insignificant. It's of probably a perfect size, an appropriate size for the venue in which it's going to be used and for the use case it's going to be used for. Exodus 27:2, make horns for it on its 4 corners. They shall be of one piece with it, and you shall overlay it with bronze. Some of the depictions I've seen of this have the suggestion of using individual pillars, like square posts in the corners, and then the post would continue on, and then that would be kind of brought down to a point, and that would be the horn, and then all 4 corners would be the same. And then you would probably have mortises and tendons to join sideboards together to form this square box. And if there's some really good joints, they'd be able to hold together without needing any nails or fasteners to hold the thing together. Some of the artistic depictions I've seen of the altar here, they have a central pillar that goes up in each corner, and on the top of the corner they'll have the horn. Like the idea that the pillar itself becomes the horn, that it's shaped into a horn at the top of the pillar. And then I guess they would have tendons and joinery to connect different sideboards to make kind of the square box that makes the shape of the altar itself. And that might be how it was made. Then we have the idea of covering it in bronze. So that's the whole thing would be covered in bronze. Now that could be like bronze sheets that are nailed into it, and that could be a thing, or it could be some sort of bronze coating that was made up that would have been applied to kind of give it the form of bronze. If it was a little bit thicker of bronze, it would definitely have a lot of good thermal properties as far as dissipating the heat, so the whole box doesn't just get cooked in the fire, which it would be cool for the first run, but it would wear out really quickly. So the bronze use is very interesting there. I've seen people as well say that maybe it wasn't like bronze, it was more of a copper, and copper has even better thermal capabilities than bronze, and it's a very soft metal and would have been available at that time. Bronze is just, well, ancient bronze was copper and tin mixed together, so it's not that far to say that it could be bronze or it could be copper, but what we're seeing here in this translation is saying bronze, so I'm kind of inclined to move more towards that direction, that it was covered in bronze. And whether it was individual plates or how this thing was covered, I don't know. There's kind of this idea that we saw a couple chapters ago when they were making that first altar, and this idea of not using rocks that are hewn or whatever it was by machines, that only use natural things. So I kind of wonder if that would apply beyond that, and not having things that are on this, like nails and fasteners and that kind of stuff, that would kind of take away from it. Whereas if you had proper joinery or locking together pieces and latches instead of like nails, that might be more pure. But I don't know if there's anything to that, or if that's just a form of insanity. We'll see. The way that this altar is written leaves some stuff to interpretation, so it's not like we can get a clear, perfect picture of in high res and fidelity of what exactly this altar would have looked like. And then even then, it's like, well, what did it look like on day 1? What did it look like on day 10? After 100 years, right? Like, it's interesting to think about. Exodus 27:3, you shall make pots to take away its ashes, and shovels, basins, forks, and fire pans. Make all its utensils of bronze. Bronze, we got that symbology of the judgment and the atonement, and then the strength and the endurance. Exodus 27:4, also make for it a network of bronze, and on the net you shall make 4 bronze rings at its 4 corners. So when it comes to understanding the altar and the way that it is designed, some of it's a little bit tricky and hard to figure out, but we do know the physical function of the altar. That's something that we're much more certain about. That the altar is made in such a way that the sacrifices, the meat and the fat of them, can be cooked on like a grill and not be placed directly into the fire. The fire and the sacrifice are separated. So we know there is something in between them. And then we know that the ash is used later on for another purpose. So there's some things that we definitely know about this altar, but its physical construction, some of the writings here make it hard to understand. One of the videos I was watching, there was a depiction of it where they took the altar. It was wooden and it sat on some stones, so it was off the ground a little bit. And then they would be able to shovel the ash from underneath as well as add wood from underneath. And then the grill portion was in the midway of the altar, and there was a ramp going up, and that ramp is the ledge. And that's how the priest would be able to place the sacrifice on the altar, that it was kind of a ramp up to it. Another interpretation I saw, they had the altar and it was wood on the top half, and then it was like a bronze grate in the bottom half, and that would allow like a venturi so that the air would be able to get in from the bottom and be able to accelerate the flame, and then it was separated from the sacrifice being put on it. So it wasn't as built up and as elaborate as the previous setup, but it looked pretty interesting, and maybe that's how it was done. It's hard to really say, but it is easy to overthink this and overanalyze this and kind of miss the whole purpose of the altar and what it stands for and the symbology behind it. Exodus 27:5, and you shall put it under the ledge of the altar so that the net will extend halfway down the altar. 27:6, and make poles for the altar, poles of acacia wood overlaid with bronze. 27:7, the pole shall be put through the rings on the 2 sides of the altar with which to carry it. In the second scenario, the second artistic depiction where it had the bronze grating along the bottom half of the altar, they depicted it as having the rings in that location, and that's where these poles went through. The first one had them just kind of attached to the side so that you put the poles through it, you'd be able to lift it up and move it around. Exodus 27:8, you shall make the altar hollow with slabs or planks as shown you on the mountain, so shall it be made. From this line, we're able to get the understanding that Moses has probably already seen what God desired this altar to look like. On his 40 days and 40 nights in the mountain, he was able to see a lot of things and have a much greater understanding than what we have written here in this particular section. Exodus 27:9, and you shall make the court of the tabernacle. On the south side of the court shall have hangings of fine twined linen, 100 cubits long for one side. 150 feet or 45 meters. So this is the courtyard of the tabernacle. We have that tabernacle building that we looked at in the last chapter. Now we have the altar that's sitting outside of there, and this is the courtyard that encompasses everything. Exodus 27 and 10, their pillars shall be 20, and their sockets 20 of bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their joinings shall be of silver. What we're looking at here is a fence to go around the perimeter of what we would call the tabernacle court. And what we have is we have these different pillars, and the pillars are going to have tendons on them, and those tendons are going to go into these sockets, these bronze sockets. Notice we only have one socket per pillar, whereas before we had these really wide beams that were being used, and they used to have two sockets when it comes to the tabernacle proper on the inside, but this is different. The fastenings on these are interesting as well. They have silver hooks, and that's what they're going to hang up this linen cloth all the way around this courtyard. And then there's going to be a ring that they're going to be able to bind the poles together to make it more rigid and structurally sound, so that the wind doesn't just knock the whole thing over. It'll make it much more resistant and stronger. Exodus 27:11, likewise for the north side, hanging 100 cubits long, and there 20 pillars, and there 20 sockets of bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their joinings shall be of silver. Exodus 27 and 12, and for the breadth of the court on the west side there shall be hanging of 50 cubits with 10 pillars and 10 sockets. So now we have the back side, and we know the total width of this courtyard now, with it being 50 cubits. 55 feet or 22.5 meters. Exodus 27:13, the breadth of the court to the front, the east side, shall be 50 cubits. 27:14, the hanging for one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, with 3 pillars and 3 sockets. 27:15, on the other side of the hanging shall be 15 cubits, with 3 pillars and 3 sockets. So the front is set up a little bit differently. It's the same width in total, but the way that the covering is being hung, the linen sheet is being hung, is different because there needs to be an entrance. Exodus 27 and 16, and for the gate of the court there shall be a hanging for a screen 20 cubits long, of blue, purple, and scarlet stuff, and fine twined linen embroidered. It shall have 4 pillars and 4 sockets for them. This sounds like the same type of material that we saw in the tabernacle proper, the first layer of the curtain. The same color composition and probably the same idea as far as the embroidery goes. Exodus 27:17, all the pillars round about the court shall be joined together with silver rods. Their hooks shall be of silver, and their sockets of bronze. So silver rods are going to be used to lock everything together. I don't know if that was like a pure silver rod, or I imagine it would probably be the acacia wood that was coated in silver. For that would be a tremendous amount of silver to have silver rods going all the way around this thing, but I mean, I guess it's possible. They did leave Egypt with a lot of loot. Exodus 27 and 18, the length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 cubits, and the height 5 cubits, with hanging of fine twined linen and sockets of bronze. 150 feet by 75 feet, with a height of 7.5 feet. 45 meters by 22 meters by 2.25 meters. Exodus 27 and 19, all the tabernacle utensil and instruments used in all its service, And all its pegs and all the pegs of the court shall be of bronze. 27 and 20. You shall command the Israelites to provide you with pure oil of crushed olives for the light, to cause it to burn continually every night. So all the tooling and everything that is going to be used is going to be of bronze. And when it comes to the menorah, the lampstand, the only source of light that we'll see in the tabernacle, it's got all those curtains, it's got those coverings, no light's getting in there, is going to come from the menorah. The menorah is going to be the only source of light, and the fuel that it's going to use is this pure olive oil. And it's going to burn day and night. Exodus 27:21. In the tent of meeting of God with his people, outside the veil which sets apart the testimony, Aaron and his sons shall keep it burning from evening to morning before the Lord. It shall be a statute to be observed on behalf of the Israelites throughout their generations. So here we have some job security for Aaron and his sons. They need to keep this fire going for their generations. Probably going to either make another video detailing the symbolic stuff and the metaphors and all that, or just delegate that to someone else who's made a much better video than I ever could. Either way, we're at the end of the chapter.